Welcome to Mojo the Movies. I'm Eric, and this is our Oscars edition. Last night was the 90th Academy Awards, and we've convened a panel to talk about last night's broadcast. We have Matt, Noah, and Phoebe, three of our movie experts. How you guys doing?
Fantastic. Good, thanks. Good.
So last night it felt like they were classing it up. Like if you look at the production design and you look at the set, it looked like a classier Oscars than we've seen in the past. Was the broadcast itself as classy as they were making it out to be?
I think so. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel alluded to it in one of his jokes. He said, you know, to represent the humility and kind of new nature of the Academy, we've adorned the stage with 45 million Swarovski crystals.
So looked like they were in an amethyst or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, it looked like something out of Stargate. It was wild.
Yeah, it was humble. It was humble.
Oh yeah, exactly.
One word to describe it.
Well, Matt, you're the host of Cinephiles. So
Yes.
you guys did your predictions episode last week.
Yep.
How close were you?
I'd have to go back and double check, but I believe on that episode we only got one wrong. One wrong.
Wow,
it was Best Picture, but
Well, that's
but
a
one
pretty
wrong.
significant one.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. Okay, so Shape of Water. First of all, the first sci-fi movie to ever win Best Picture, which is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. Finally breaking
golf
ground.
claps.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was, I guess it took home the most with 4, which is not a huge, it wasn't an avalanche of winnings.
No.
But I think everyone assumed it would be 3 Billboards. I assume that.
Yeah.
What are we thinking about
The
this?
popular pick going into the Oscars was definitely 3 Billboards, considering all the precursor awards it's won, you know, SAG awards. But yeah, I mean, some people think it was a big shock. I did think Shape of Water had like a pretty good shot at winning, but it definitely wasn't the favorite, and you know, it maybe kind of upset a lot of people, or at least surprised. We'll go with surprise for sure.
Yeah, I mean, because I think going into this particular Oscars race, it had been kind of poised as this big showdown between 3 Billboards and Get Out, which
Yeah.
had kind of been making a resurgence in the past couple weeks. Universal was pouring a lot of money into its marketing campaign to really boost its Oscar chances, which clearly did pay off, seeing that it did win Best Original Screenplay for Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I guess the two ended up splitting the vote, and The Shape of Water took it, which I am not mad at all about, because, you know, Guillermo del Toro deserves everything.
Yeah.
Well, let's go through some of the categories. So, I mean, at least the major ones. Actor in a supporting role. That, I think it was a lock. I think most of these were locks, but it was nice to see Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, just someone who's been so underappreciated for so many years. Finally, you know, he even said himself, I'd like to thank the Academy, but I didn't think I'd ever even be saying that, which was super funny. Yeah, I was rooting for Willem Dafoe, you know, The Florida Project. Much love to The Florida Project, which was not even nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, did it get snubbed to a certain degree?
100%. I mean, Sean Baker crafted one of the most moving, truly human stories of the year, and was not justly rewarded, but I feel that maybe his next effort will kind of be his big breakthrough. But I was rooting for Willem the whole time, but not to take away from Sam Rockwell, because Jason Dixon would not have been even remotely the same character without Sam Rockwell's portrayal of him.
Exactly.
I think it was 100% deserved for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny, on Twitter, I had seen someone tweet like, Sam Rockwell is the Leonardo DiCaprio of supporting actors. You know, just like always doing such great work. Never really nominated, and when he is, like, doesn't win kind of thing. So it's awesome to see him finally get that recognition, and for a role that's, you know, arguably at the best of his career. He was phenomenal in that movie.
And we were saying he might also be, you know, next year he's going to be portraying George W. Bush.
That's right. In Adam McKay's backseat, starring Christian Bale as Dick Cheney, who's definitely he's definitely going to be in the Best Actor conversation next year. But there's sort of early rumblings that Sam Rockwell could again find himself nominated on the supporting actor category, and I say let him have it. The guy's a legend.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Rockwell-essence, if you will. Like
well done, I like that.
Because McConaissance is kind of dipping here, so we gotta cheer for something new.
You might be onto something now.
Yeah.
Now, actress in a supporting role, Allison Janney. I think we had talked about.
Yeah, that was definitely a lock. There was no question that she wasn't going to win. She had won all of the awards coming up to the Oscars, and she was amazing. So no surprise there.
Plus one of the funniest speeches too, I think.
Yeah, that intro was amazing. Yeah,
I did it
so
myself.
Allison Janney, and it was perfect. Yeah.
So good.
You know, I guess some people might have been disappointed that Laurie Metcalf, you know, she had put a stellar performance out there.
It still hurts.
That would have been
Eric. It
my
still
personal
hurts.
pick. She was phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, not to take anything away from Allison Janney, but I mean, the fact that it was such a lock of a category kind of, it put the other actresses kind of like in the backseat, and not many people actually talked about those performances as much leading up to it. So it's a shame that they didn't get that kind of recognition, but
exactly.
I think when it's that tight of a race, it's just that little inch that puts you ahead of all of these other amazing actresses, because everyone in the category was amazing.
Exactly.
They were great.
And I mean, people love Allison Janney. I mean,
Yeah.
she's been around for years. She has a bajillion Emmys. And people just love her as a personality. And Laurie Metcalf, who, believe me, was my personal pick to win,
Samesies, yeah.
which would have been awesome. But she's just someone, I guess, with less visibility, someone who doesn't, I mean, this was her first film role in like quite a number of years. I don't know the exact number, but I would have been very happy with any of these actresses taking it. I mean, Leslie Manville in Phantom Thread.
Yeah.
I mean,
she was a beast in Phantom Thread.
Oh my gosh.
She was scary.
Don't cross me or you'll be the one who ends up on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, chills. I'm telling you, chills.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So good.
Before we get to the major acting categories or the lead categories, let's talk about cinematography, because this was pretty cool. I was so happy to see,
My boy Deakins.
everybody.
Deakins.
Yeah.
Roger Deakins finally winning after he was
14. This is, I
times.
believe,
This was his 14th nomination.
This was his 14th,
Yeah.
yes. I
Crazy.
mean,
Crazy.
And maybe
Absolutely
not
wild.
his most deserving of all the films that he
I was
has.
just saying this before the show, actually. Yeah, I think he's done better work, not to take anything away from Blade Runner 2049, because visually the most stunning movie of the year, in my opinion. So completely deserved. But I agree, maybe not like at the top of his repertoire, if you will.
it does feel like a bit, Matt, like what you mentioned, a bit of a Lifetime Career Achievement
Yeah.
Award, but honestly, I cannot complain at all. Hoyt van Hoytema will have his chance one day.
One day,
But
yeah. He might be the next Roger Deakins.
Yeah, but
Especially if he continues working with
Chris Nolan?
because
Yeah.
it's just IMAX or bust. So
100%.
Yeah.
But this one, very well deserved in my opinion.
Yeah.
Could not be happier.
Yeah.
Before we continue to the categories, one thing I want to say, that I think the thing that moved me the most in this particular broadcast were the tributes and the montages that often appeared before each category, or at
Yeah.
least each major category, and especially the 90 years of Oscars. I mean, this whole thing is about celebrating movies, and at one point there's a speech by Roger Ebert, I think, where he talks about how movies are empathy machines.
Yeah.
And I had chills the whole time watching it. I thought that was an example of how they treated this whole thing with class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. It's basically literally looking at a movie and saying, like, what's the base kind of content that an audience connects with? And it's that. It's story, and it's empathy, and it's how you feel about the characters, right? That you strip everything away, and that's what it's all about, and that's what made Roger Ebert the best movie critic of all time, is he could just make things as simple as possible, but make them sound incredibly profound and meaningful. So, yeah.
I think the thing I loved about these montages, and I mean definitely in addition to that, it was how they kind of demonstrated just the transformative power that film has in a way that wasn't really hokey or overly cliched. A quote from Kumail Nanjiani, Best Original Screenplay nominee, that really stuck out to me was, I've been relating to white guys on screen my whole life. And now you get to relate to me on screen in The Big Sick, and it just really is a testament to what movies can do. Sorry, I think I'm gonna shed a tear.
And just like the way he presents it too, it's just like, it's such a simple thing. It's just like, hey, look, I'm a minority. Like, I watched white guys in movies and I love them and they're my heroes. I'm gonna have my chance to be that in movies, and who's not to say that white people won't feel the same about it? It's just like, it's such a simple concept.
And I think
people
that
don't seem to grab, but that's another discussion for another time.
But that encapsulates what this whole experience was about. It wasn't, so overt. They didn't hit you over the head. I think everything was done again with a bit of class. And speaking of class, Guillermo del Toro winning for
classy
Best
dude.
Director.
Oh my gosh.
He is. He's so sweet. He deserved it. He's just the
100%.
best.
It was tough competition. I was kind of hoping for Jordan Peele. I have to admit,
Everyone
Yeah,
was.
I feel like out of all the movies that were going to kind of challenge The Shape of Water, especially like in the directing, it was Get Out. I think Greta Gerwig maybe had a small outside chance.
too,
That was
yeah.
my personal pick. But definitely Jordan Peele, I thought, might be able to squeak something out. But in the end, I mean, all the momentum was on Del Toro's side.
Yeah.
The odds, to quote Hunger Games, the odds were always in his favor. I mean...
And I loved his quote. In his speech, I think he said something along the lines of, "This is a door.
Yes.
Kick it open and come on in."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Basically saying, like, kids, if you like sci-fi, if you like fantasy, if you like these movies that, you know, aren't generally regarded as masterpieces by the Academy, you know, it's totally fine to do it. That's the door, kick it down,
I think
just
that
go for it, you know.
it also had to do with how this year we had so many different methods of telling stories. And I think it's really important to mention that a lot of Spanish films did win this year. And, you know, that's sort of just a call to hearing different stories and the way that we tell these different stories. And that's why I think it was so important that Guillermo del Toro won.
So actor in a leading role, any surprise that Gary Oldman won?
Nope.
Not even a little.
Not a little
Not
bit.
even a little.
Old white history
Yeah, he really
person
ticked
who
off the
yells
boxes.
and kicks chairs. I mean, Academy loves that.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
this
But, and he's
angry
never
old
won.
man.
And he is
But he's, exactly.
Yeah, so
And he's a phenomenal actor.
Of
So
course,
it's like
yes.
it's a Roger Deakins situation, you know. Dude's a legend, and I mean, this was a really great performance. No
Of course,
doubt.
it's a great performance. It does feel like this is a win for not a lesser performance, but you know he's been such a legend in the industry, and he went so many years without even being nominated in the first
Yeah.
place that it's like, oh, sorry, we're catching up with you now, so we're going to give you this Oscar as a way to make up for it.
now let's talk about Frances McDormand. That was quite the
Queen.
speech. That was
Queen.
Yeah, exactly. So
She's
happy
such
to
a
see her
character.
win.
Oh my God.
We knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Of course.
yeah, from day one. I mean, I don't think for a long time there was a lot of a debate as to whether maybe is Frances going to take it? Might it be Saoirse Ronan?
Yeah.
Does Margot Robbie stand a chance? Before really just this tidal wave of support, she won the SAG, she won the Golden Globe. You know, she was an unstoppable force.
It was
And
the performance of a lifetime.
I think
mean,
so. Yeah.
It was definitely, if not her best, like one of 100%. That's like.
And this is also, you know, Frances McDormand, Fargo, you know, we
Yes.
think
Yeah.
we associate her with that role, and this was such a different role. But
And then
I mean,
you just like you look at the contrast between those two different roles. It's just like her range of acting is tremendous. She's just she's one of the best actresses in the business right now. So I think it's completely deserved.
But let's talk about the speech too. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
she got up
Yeah.
there, and it was, you know, it was interesting because she said, you know, if I fall over, pick me up because I got some things to say. I thought, you know. I thought she was going to be more of a hammer than she was. She was. I loved the speech, and I actually thought that she handled it well. But
It was-
It seemed like she was like, "Get ready because I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna tear you all
Unleash,
down."
But I think it was
But
still
instead
like
she-
it was pretty hammery though. I mean, especially the part where she just like big long pause, looks at all the women she just had like stand up, which was super awesome by the
yeah.
way. And she's just like inclusion rider. And then I'm sure like everyone
Mic drop
like everyone
moment.
watching was kind of just like what is that, what exactly does that mean? I know I was like that at first, but everyone like all those actresses, all those industry people just started applauding like crazy because they're clearly aware of what it is. And the whole idea behind it is that when an actress or you know whoever in the business is about to sign a contract to work on a film, they could say like, oh, I want an inclusion rider section of this saying that I want X amount of minorities and women working on this film too. And if that isn't met, then I'm not going to be part of this movie. So if she managed to rally all these women with that speech, and if all of them actually follow through and have this included in their film contracts, could be huge for women in filmmaking
So
for the
she
future.
took the opportunity of giving that speech to actually. It might not have been a hammer, but it was a huge tool to actually exact change.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
of course.
Yeah.
Now, you know, that also speaks to the tone. Everyone thought that this was going to be a supercharged year in terms of politics. Do you think that it was as people expected?
I don't think it felt that way. I think it sort of felt lighthearted considering everything that had happened last year. I think Jimmy Kimmel did a pretty good job at sort of making light of all of these really bad things that happened, in contrast especially to last year's Oscars, which I found were a little bit more politically charged in my opinion. But no, I thought it was very lighthearted, and I thought that it doesn't always have to be a hammer to make a good point. I think that you can make a good point by laughing at something. So I think that's really what worked this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Best Picture. So, you know, yeah, you're very happy about this one. All right, talk to
I'm
me
very
about
happy. I'm stoked. I mean, like we were talking about before, I think that the favorite going in was 3 Billboards, and even we had a poll, and I said definitely going to be 3 Billboards, and I was so happy that Shape of Water won. And I think that it's sort of a testament. It's odd because this year was all about new stories being told and new filmmakers. And yes, Guillermo del Toro does have a very interesting way of telling stories, but it very much felt like an old Hollywood film.
Yes.
And the whole theme of the night felt very old Hollywood as well, with the set design and everything. So I thought that that was really, really, it came full circle. It felt really nice.
Yeah.
And Guillermo del Toro is just so sweet and so humble. And I think his film was amazing. I loved it so much, and I'm so happy.
I loved the movie. I thought it was really
Yeah.
great. But you know, you look at The Shape of Water and you look at the movies it's stacked up against. You got Three Billboards, you got Get Out, you got Ladybird. Even like some would say like Dunkirk's in that conversation too. And as much as I liked The Shape of Water, I look back at it and I'm like, it's not exactly a best picture movie for me.
But that's what a lot of people said about Get Out, you know?
Yeah.
I think this was really this is kind of, we're starting to see more, we're not seeing just, again, a few years ago, Darkest Hour would have cleaned up, I think, at the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
But this is the fact that we're even, it's sort of the sea change that's happening. The fact that Get Out was such a strong contender to win, and the fact that The Shape of Water, the first sci-fi film ever to win at the Academy Awards, we're definitely seeing something is shifting underneath the surface at the Academy, and I'm very here for it.
Overall, a good ceremony. We're happy with the results, and we're happy with the sea change, and looking forward to next year. Maybe we'll be talking about Sam Rockwell again. Who knows?
Yeah,
Hopefully. I want to talk about Sam Rockwell every day.
Love that guy.
And Saoirse and all that gang.
Saoirse, please.
Perfect.
Thank you, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments. We'd be curious to hear your thoughts, and we'll be back soon. Thank you very much. See you next time.